guys. Welcome to a totally unnecessary and unprompted DK's live shot. We're doing this from New York, where our reporter, Greg McAfee, is up there getting ready to cover Pirates versus Mets at start of 3. I'll be doing the series after that in Philadelphia. Maybe we can switch boxes, Greg.
So you can get the bigger view of the field here.
Yes, I'll be the guy in the little box with the Phillies Liberty Bell in the background and everything here. The Pirates just went through obviously one hell of a weekend.
Yep.
And I mean that in all kinds of contexts, including the positive one where they took their first series in forever in taking 2 of 3 from the Braves. All of that happening, of course, under Don Kelly. The question that I have for you, because I haven't been at around the team since Friday, is the last couple of days and even today up there in New York, clubhouse. Just take me through it. You know, what's it like in there right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the clubhouse hasn't changed much in terms of when the media is in there. Everyone's kind of relaxed. You know, they're sitting in front of their lockers, especially when they're on the road. But even when we were back at PNC Park on Saturday, it was kind of a relaxed atmosphere. But you can see the guys, they're a little more loose. It seems like they're a little more positive after the changes and everything. It doesn't seem like it's affected them too much, other than the fact that, you know, they know they want to produce on the field and they have to continue to produce on the field moving forward to make any sense of these changes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's not their job obviously to make sense of the changes, but what they have to do is they just have to play better. Paul Skeens, I thought, put it really well the other day, where he just said, look, I'm not surprised by anything that happened when you start like this. But at the same time, you got to go out and make it happen. We saw in 2 of these 3 games, not only that there was a distinction between the 2 wins and the 1 loss, and that the 2 wins, they actually played okay. I'm not talking about the outcome. They actually didn't screw up as often. And then in the middle game, they screwed up as if nothing had changed at all here. So the challenge that's in front of Donnie, and however it is that he restructures or continues moving his pieces around on his coaching staff, but also the leaders on this team, first and foremost, to me, it has to begin with an air of accountability and energy, neither of which was in place under Derek Shelton, as I've been sharing with people for months now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, DK, you kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to touch on that. It's accountability is a word we've heard a lot over the past 3-4 games. It's something we heard from Don Kelly this afternoon, and even the players when they spoke a lot on Friday and Saturday, just about holding each other accountable for the mistakes, for the mishaps, and just being able to kind of bounce back and play the baseball they think that they're capable of playing.
They're capable of.
I caught myself there. But it's holding each other accountable and putting a better product on the field day in and day out. And accountability has been that big word. But we've also seen a lot of Don Kelly has kind of stressed enthusiasm, having an energy and an attitude at the ballpark every day, and kind of being able to follow through with what they preach on a day-to-day basis.
Greg, to the best of your ability, and I'll ask you this after giving a little bit of a preamble myself on this, the Brian Reynolds' struggle is, to my mind, the only actual struggle on the team. And here's what I mean by that. When everybody else is doing badly, you can just say, all right, well, that's just because they stink. Okay. Reynolds doesn't stink. Reynolds is exactly who he is, who he's always been. And is it enough to assume that just because, well, listen, he's always rebounded, he's had some of the biggest Mays we've ever seen, okay, that he's going to come around and it's just going to happen like magic? Or is there anything additional there? Anything at all? You know, moving different positions, whatever, anything?
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with the position change or anything like that. Obviously, we've seen him struggle in the past. I actually went through his numbers before Saturday's game, I believe, and this is one of his worst stretches since 2022. So dating back almost 3 years, and you've always been able to expect him to bounce back. He maybe has a 10-game stretch where he's not hitting well, and he bounces back through June, through July. And I think when Brian Reynolds is Mr. Consistency, you always got to be able to expect that he's going to bounce back at some point and he's going to find a groove. And he's kind of had that at different points this season. but the stretch he's in right now isn't his best. That's for sure. But I don't think it has anything to do with the position change or anything like that.
Greg McAfee's joining us from New York, and my timing here for bringing up something is good because one of the planes is flying overhead. That's what they do there. The LaGuardia is very, very close to that stadium. And just like it happened at Old Shea, which was right next to it, they will go right over the stadium. It's insane. And the pitchers, young guys all have to adjust to that because it's not like they're moving LaGuardia, especially since they've shut Newark down. So
it was really cool. I kind of spent some time on the field pregame before Don Kelly spoke this afternoon, and just counted the planes coming over and just kind of how loud it was. And I'm sure you can hear it on my my voice recording during Don Kelly's interview. You can see the levels kind of spike whenever the planes flew over. It's pretty interesting.
Your first time at Citi Field?
First time at Citi Field, yeah. I've been to Yankee Stadium a couple times. I like it. I think it's kind of dropped into a little bit of a sea of parking lots. But I think it's pretty cool. I'm staying right across the bridge in Flushing. So it was a nice little easy 20-minute walk to the ballpark today, which I cannot complain about whatsoever.
It used to be a sea of muffler shops. They still have some of those muffler shops, but it's a much smaller grouping now than what it used to be. Just endless seas of muffler shops. One of the strangest sights you've seen anywhere in the world. If you look across behind you over there to center field, you'll see a bridge. It looks like a bridge, that walkway. You can angle the camera here and show everybody what we're talking about. I've done a million games at Citi Field. That thing right there. The previous owner of the Mets, when the place opened, has a Pittsburgh background, and he came up to find me in the press box and took me on a tour of the place when it opened. And he said that he feels that there's a lot of Citi Field that was inspired by PNC Park. You can see a lot of that in the coloring, the blue steel, and so forth. But that bridge specifically was like a nod, like a recognition of Pittsburgh's influence in the place, which is actually, I'll bet you even most New Yorkers don't know that. It's actually pretty wild. That said, outside it's supposed to look partially like Ebbets Field, and then there's a Jackie Robinson rotunda, even though Jackie never played for that organization. He was with Brooklyn, and they're the Dodgers now, and it's all kind of confused.
Yeah, I think once I got here and I got a couple things posted into the feed this afternoon, I took a walk around the ballpark before the clubhouse opened and took a few more photos. I walked across the bridge out there in center field. I got a photo of the Jackie Robinson rotunda, and they had a quote about integrity that ran across the top of the rotunda that I thought was pretty cool. So I'll have that in the feed here before first pitch. But just a real cool ballpark. Sure.
Vaughn says he has a question. He wants to know if Don Kelly is saying anything, and I don't know if he means to the players or to reporters or whatever, that's markedly different to the team than Derek Shelton. I'll begin by saying, as someone who's known Donnie for most of his life, that he is going to be very, very, very comfortable being his own guy, because Donnie has always been that. He's a hard on his sleeve type. I was standing right in front of him the day he found out he was finally going to make it to the majors, and he broke down. This was in Bradenton at the locker room on the last day of spring training, and he ended up having a pretty nice little big league career for himself as a player. But there will be no difficulty for him distinguishing himself from Shelton, will there?
No, not at all. And I think the one thing we've seen so far through the first three games is their aggressiveness on the base paths. I mean, I think you saw it a little bit on Friday, and you definitely saw it last night with a double steal late in the game with Jared Geraldo and Brian Hayes. And that's something that Donnie Kelly said today that he wants his team to have an identity with, is being aggressive on the base pass, and not just in certain situations, but he wants his team to be kind of run free and be free on the base pass and take advantage of their athleticism.
Sports Clip says that nothing's really changed. They have to hit with runners in scoring position. 100%. No. I mean, yes and no. I see why you're saying 100%.
Yeah.
But you also know why I'm saying no. Okay, because Donald Hall here also says, anyone else cringe when Tommy Pham comes up with men on base? No. You cringe because Tommy Pham comes up. Period. End of sentence. Okay. The way this stuff works is simple. The teams that are lousy with runners in scoring position are just lousy. Okay, one does not follow the other. They're not lousy because they fail in the clutch. They're lousy because they fail. There's just a bad hitting team. If they were not a bad hitting team, they would not be a bad hitting team with runners in scoring position. So yes, it's true. They had a 2 for 18 this weekend?
Yeah. That was the game I covered on Saturday. Yep.
But that all that means is that they happened to get a few guys on that day and they still couldn't hit.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a bad hitting team. And Greg, I don't know where the results are like for that. I don't know where the solutions, I should say. There's nobody in AAA hitting, at least not of consequence. Okay. What is there? What can Donnie do here? I mean, the GM as usual hasn't lifted a pinky finger.
Yeah, I mean, it's guys. I mean, they've talked about it since, Don Kelly came on as the man, since Don Kelly was named the manager. They have to play better. It's simple as that. When they're at the plate, they got to perform, and it's something they haven't done. I mean, when you have certain situations throughout this weekend, for example, the 2 for 18 game, there's 2 situations where they left guys on a runner on first and second after 2 leadoff singles and struck out 3 times in a row. And then you leave the bases loaded. I think it was in the 7th or 8th inning. And it's just situations like that have continuously popped up. And those are situations that they need to execute in moving forward. But that goes back to the talent as well, I think. Like you said.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Our friend Josh Dobbs from the Steelers channel decides to come over here and playfully chirp that there were 59 people on YouTube watching a Pirates game day, 600 watching off-season Steelers. Dude, same city, same first name, same set of colors. Distinguishing between them, I never get that. Also, by the way, we have 689 people in here because this is showing on multiple platforms, not just on YouTube. So that's actually a pretty nice little turnout, and we appreciate it. And then I told you he was just playing. Sports Club says, as crazy as it sounds, seems to me like the Pirates were playing to win that game the other day under Kelly, as stupid and crazy as that sounds. You say that, but what happens if they don't? I mean, they blew a 3-run lead. Be careful of all kinds of sweeping generalizations here. Donnie's got his work cut out for him. And Greg, where you are right now, that series you're covering is so heavily tilted to the other team that it's not even funny. And the next series, the one I'm going to be covering in Philadelphia, is so heavily tilted that it's not even funny. Okay?
Yeah, I mean,
it's really the imbalance is massive here.
I mean, you got the 2 teams at the top of the NL East right now on back-to-back series. 2 teams that are playing pretty well this year. The team behind me has one of the higher payrolls in baseball, and they got Juan Soto added in the offseason, and so the imbalance is pretty evident. That is for sure.
Last thing I have for you here, Greg, today, when you look at the lineup right now, and you see the state of it, and you know that you've got a couple, 2, 3 guys or whatever that you can generally count on and everything. I was kind of wondering if Donnie would try something that was just totally way out there. Just, in other words, just to send one of those vibes. A lot of times a new manager, a new coach. And I don't really have anything necessarily in mind. But maybe he picks like a Matt Gorski, or he picks an Alexander Caminero and just says, or Canario, sorry, and goes out there and just say, hey, go ahead and get red hot for me. Do you get any sense that anybody's being put into that position?
Well, I think the one guy the 2 guys you mentioned, Matt Gorski and Alexander Canario have played, I think, at least 2 of the 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, maybe all 3 games since Don Kelly has taken over. That might have been the matchups. Obviously, Tommy Pham was pulled from the game, I believe, on Friday. Early, he was scratched before the game started, and Canario got the start. But you've seen Matt Gorski get in there because of the matchups and everything like that as well. But other than that, it's stayed pretty consistent from what I've seen. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz is day-to-day. He's not in the starting lineup today. Tommy Pham has been suspended, as we touched on in the feed at DK Pittsburgh Sports. So Canario will probably get to start again in the outfield. So you've seen it be pretty consistent since Donnie Kelly has taken over. There hasn't been many big sweeping changes, but I think Canario has kind of shown up a little bit. He's got a home run, 2 doubles, in the 3 games he's played since Donnie Kelly has taken over. He's kind of getting a little bit settled in.
I'm just getting word in from Major League Baseball headquarters right there in New York that the Pirates are appealing to make Pham's suspension even longer. This just in. ... Connor asks if it's okay for him to become a Guardians fan because you do what you want, man. Same city, same first name, same set of colors. I say it all the time. Miles Altman gets the last word today. Says, I live in Erie. We get Cleveland and Pirates on the radio. Cleveland, Erie cherry picks, by the way. These people, they admit it too. In Erie, because not only do they cherry pick between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, they even sneak in some Buffalo affinity because they're right there in the middle of all three, basically. They're 2 hours away from everything.
Hey, I live in Youngstown, and it is the same way in Youngstown. It's like 50-50 country. You got Steelers, you got Pirates, you got Guardians, you got Browns. It is, it's pretty wild.
Denny says, how much did the fired strategy coach Radley Haddad actually have to do with anything? That depends, Denny. How much did you have to do with it? Because you were just the same. You had just as much to do with anything that the Pirates did, good or bad, as that guy did. And that was the first thing that Don Kelly was like, but if you're going to have me do the manager's job, whatever that guy is doing, taking up space on the bench over there, he can go. He can go. Astro Mikey says, bless you for covering this team through the not so good times. I'll let you get back to doing exactly that, Greg. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, DK. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this completely pointless exercise. We'll do another one in the very near future.